All right, NFL Week 17, holiday season, early bets, early leans, early things to consider. I already did guess the spread over on my TikTok page. It's time to start making some bets. The early leans I had last week, they did well, even though the line went against us. Had Indianapolis and Detroit laying the points. I alluded to it. I said it would be a pretty big bet. I might have been a little hyperbolic, but we're still going to play it. And that is the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5 hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. So, look, Kansas City and Pittsburgh, two really difficult handicaps this season because the Chiefs, their record is better than how they've been playing. I think we can all agree on that. And then Pittsburgh, it's like, yeah, they profile well as a dog, but, we know they're not in the class of, say, Baltimore. But now here, as we look at this line, the reason I arrive here is, I think it was like a month or so ago, Baltimore laid 3.5 at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh ends up winning the game. Baltimore outplayed him, you could say, for a lot of it. And, Steelers did their thing. They, played good D, capitalized on turnovers, all that sort of stuff. And so now they go, they're hosting Kansas City, and Kansas City's laying 2.5. I know this isn't the total way to do it, but just work with me here. If Baltimore lays 3.5 at Pittsburgh, and then not too long later, Kansas City lays 2.5 at Pittsburgh, that means Kansas City and Baltimore are pretty close to each other power rating wise, like about a point or so. We all know that's not true. And Pittsburgh, again, they profile tremendous as an underdog. We know Tomlin as a dog, and this Kansas City team, they do a lot of things to win games, but they make it close pretty much every time. This is it's a numbers play for me. This tells me on a neutral field that Kansas City's 4 better than Pittsburgh. I'm just not sure that's true. I think it'd be more like 3 on a neutral right now. To get this, Pittsburgh as a dog, and the other side of my family where I'm going to be spending Christmas Day, big Steeler fans, so can't not be rooting for, the home team while I'm there on Christmas. Like I said, it's not going to be the biggest bet of 2024. Again, a little hyperbolic, but Pittsburgh plus 2.5 for me. I like that. That's a bet for me. I bet it right after guess the spread. Let's move on to a couple things I just want to talk about. I would love to take Denver. It looks like this is on the move. Cincinnati's -3. Looks like this is on the move towards 3.5. I'm going to wait. If it's 3.5, I will for sure be playing Denver. Maybe at 3, maybe we'll see. That's why you followed me in the Pickett app. But so for me, this thing is like this guy, Sam Hoppin on Twitter. You should follow him. He does a really good job. He puts together a composite power ranking of, 5 or to 7 or so people who do power ratings. And if you just look at, he puts a composite number together. He has Kansas City as, they're power rated 3.5 points better than about like an average team or so. And Pittsburgh is 1.8 better than an average team. So that's where you get to, for, again, more background on Kansas City, Pittsburgh. But when we talk about Cincinnati, Denver, right? Cincinnati is, despite their record, their power ranking is better than Denver's. So this composite here has Cincinnati 1.4 and Denver 1.1. So that means Cincinnati slightly favored over Denver on a neutral. Home field is not 3 points. Now we go give Cincinnati their home field. To me, my numbers still don't get to 3 here. A lot of these composites, again, Cincinnati's been a tough team to cap because we know that they're better than their record says they are, at least offensively for sure. But Denver here, if this gets to 3.5, like for sure a play, because we just have seen too often what teams are able to do to Cincinnati's defense. And I think that Denver could totally do that. And I think that Denver's defense, look, they had a tough night against the Chargers, but they're certainly stingier than Cincinnati's. So I know it's ugly. I think it's going to probably be a public dog, but all that stuff doesn't seem to matter this year, really, because favorites continue to win, road favorites win, all that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to get too caught up in public dog, all that, all that stuff. I think Denver here, 3.5 for sure a play, and maybe a play at 3. Something worth noting, a lot of the things that I guess I got wrong in Guess the Spread went towards my direction in the way I thought it would. For instance, Philadelphia, when I did Guess the Spread, it was -7 against Dallas. I thought that would be higher because I thought for sure Hurts would play. That's something to monitor all week. And so I don't have it settled in now at like 9.5. You got to monitor Hurts and all that stuff. I don't think it's worth playing anymore. Here's an interesting one that I might be playing. Probably can't help myself but playing. And I don't think you have to grab it now because it's continuing to move in the other direction. So I think there could be some value. Carolina +8 at Tampa Bay. Now, I've been really high on Tampa Bay this year. I didn't bet them against Dallas because I didn't love the spot particularly for Tampa Bay, but I had Tampa Bay as like a 7-point favorite in that game, and so now they play Carolina here, right? They played closely not too long ago. The spread in that game closed, I think 6.5. I think it was 6.5. Let me double check while we're here. So bear with me. Tampa Bay. Let's see what that number closed at. So they played at the Panthers on so Tampa Bay played at the Panthers on December 1st, and Tampa Bay was laying 6.5. So on a neutral, that's about 7.5, 8-ish. All right. So now we flip home fields. You're like, oh, Tampa Bay, if they're 8 or so on a neutral, they should be 9 something, about 9 at home. But to me, I just think we continue to upgrade Carolina. Like, I know they laid a bit of an egg against Dallas, but I think Carolina continues to, not be as bad as they were a couple months ago. Bryce Young is playing better, and a Tampa Bay defense that can be leaky. 8, I probably play it at 8. I'm going to see if it can get any further. So that's one to monitor. If you don't have the stomach for Carolina, like I said, the power, if you just play that flip home field game, the line's about right and maybe short for Tampa Bay, but I think we're upgrading Carolina still. I really do. So that's an interesting one. How about Carolina's opponent in week 16, the Arizona Cardinals? They played the Rams way earlier in the season, like back in September. And if you remember, this is when the Rams offensive line was super banged up. They had like almost every guy out. And Arizona was laying 1.5 in that game. So now Arizona's eliminated. The Rams are rolling. And this line has gotten up to the Rams -6. I think, this always happens. We say, oh, this team's done. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They're going to quit. Well, sometimes there's a tax that goes the other way. Like, oh, obviously the Rams here. This line's just a little inflated. The look ahead for this line, or for this game rather, was the Rams -3. Now this is Rams -6. Rams going, they were in New Jersey, now back home. You could say same thing with Arizona. They were over on the East Coast, now back. I just 6 to me seems a little inflated here. I'm going to wait to see if this continues to move more towards the Rams, but Arizona is going to be a team I'm monitoring. I think we could be getting some value here. I think the Rams, look, tip your cap. They've been rolling. This team's clearly has figured it out in the last couple of weeks here, or last few weeks, but divisional game seems a little inflated to me. So in turn, immediate bet Pittsburgh. Probably going to not be able to help myself, but bet Carolina. All right. And then Denver, if it gets to 3.5, that's kind of where I'm at right now in betting these games. Interesting one is Derek Carr with New Orleans. Like, he sounds like he's not going to play tonight, Monday Night Football against the Packers. Kamara out, and Kamara, potato, Olave too. If that same trio, even just Carr is out against Vegas, hosting Vegas, New Orleans laying points to Vegas. I mean, I think O'Connell makes Vegas better than we all think. So that's one I would like. I assumed Carr would be out when I did guess the line, to be fair. So that's another one I'm kind of monitoring here. But I think a lot of these lines, they're just getting shaped around here on Monday morning as I do this. Like I said, I told you the bets. Enjoy Christmas. Enjoy the holidays. It's a great time of year. Make sure to follow me in the Pickett app if you want to see what I'm playing. Like I said, I should have just went with what my early picks were last week, and I ended up coming out with like a slight edge or slight victory on week 16. But these have been doing pretty well. Let's go Steelers. Merry Christmas.